Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426 and today we have a figure review. This is not an SHF figure, but rather it's a Figma review. So this is the Figma Kamen Rider Spear review. Now you just heard me say Spear, not Imperer, because Spear, Figma line actually follows the Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, the US adaptation version, unlike how Bandai follows the Japanese Kamen Rider Rookie version, which is why I'm calling this Spear. But figure-wise, or the Kamen Rider-wise, they're exactly the same, so I don't think there should be any confusion regarding them. And also in this video, I'm not going to like do much of comparison compared to like an SHF figure, because I do not own the SHF Imperer, but I do plan on making a video. I am planning on getting the same rider from SHF and Figma. I just need more time for them to arrive, so keep that in mind. Well, I will make some comparisons regarding some areas or mention them, but they're not going to be like full-fledged like comparisons in this video. Alright, so let's get on to the review. Now, recently I bought this because in the Figma line, the only Kamen Rider figures they have is the Kamen Rider stuff from Dragon Knight, so there aren't any other riders from Figma. Only the 13 riders, meaning that there's no Alternative Zero, there's no Abyss, there's no other series rider, it's just the Dragon Knight ones. Okay, so let's get on to the review. So what we get, of course, is the figure himself. And I'm going to just push them a little bit back. We get a stand, which is, I believe is like a standard thing for Figma lines, but not the ideal stand for this figure, to be honest. And then we get a nice bag, which I believe is meant for if you want to throw away the box, you can put the figure inside this bag with this other accessories, and you can save a lot of space, which is actually a pretty good thing, at least for me. And then, the stand has 3 moving points, pretty standard. Like we have this 1, 2, and then 3. And then if you want to twist it, you can't twist it here. So. And the only connecting point is this peg, which goes into this hole on the back, but it's not really the exact fit. So you're gonna have to either enlarge the hole or to make this peg smaller. So that's what I suggest. Okay, so other than that, what we get here is not as much as you think. Even because even in Rookie, he didn't have much stuff. Even in terms of cards, he only had like 3. His spin vent, which is right over here, and then his advent and final vent. So he only had 3 cards as far as I know, nothing more or less. So number 1 is spin vent. I already attached the weapon hand here so I can save time. Very nice. It's just the horn of his gazelle advent monster, I believe. Not the head, I believe, but it's just the horns, which is why I guess it's called spin vent instead of strike vent. Like unlike how Guy or Rookie, their strike vent is literally the head of their advent monsters. Here we have the card. Now in Figma figures, they only give you 1 card, the final event card. But even it is the final event card, you can see it's not as detailed as the one we saw from SHF figures. So you can see they put in only the basic one. So when you look at it, you can see at least say, it's that card. Backside is just pure blue, no details at all. And it's kind of thicker than the ones we usually see. So yeah, I mean, it still works. And then hand-wise, we get 8 hands in total. 1 is currently on the weapon. So we have these open hands with individual fingers and then we have another open hand which has the closed up fingers like this. This hand, I'm not really sure. This hand, because this one is the weapon hand for the left hand, and the current one I'm using is right. This one I have seen no purpose at all, unless it's like meant for poses. And then we have this hand for the right hand which is meant for holding the card, which I'm going to pull out. And as you can see, unlike SHF figures, the hands connection are just pegs. Unlike how SHF are like ball joints, and you have to like push it in really, really hard to actually connect the hands. This one does not have that issue, which I will admit that is a little bit better. So the way the card hands, you can see there's only that small gap you see in the hand. So if you want to, I guess you should modify it if you want to hold the card in a different way. So it only has enough space to barely hold like the edge of the card. So not ideal. And currently, because of me doing this multiple times, I think I might have like enlarged in that area, which is having a hard time holding the card. But yeah. Okay, so for now, let's get on to the articulation of the figure. Actually, before the articulation, I would like to mention Oops, sorry about that. I would like to mention, while the Figma Kamen Rider figures, they're not the ideal Kamen Rider figures, they are a good alternative for SHF. So if you're basically like trying to collect all 13 riders from Kamen Rider Rookie, and you're having a hard time, like let's say getting one of the premium Bandai ones like Kamen Rider Emperor, you can always get the this one, so you can at least display it. Because height-wise, here's another SHF Kamen Rider alternative, not Kamen Rider, I mean Alternative Zero. And because in Rookie, these two actually fought like together for like a brief moment, and you can see height-wise they're pretty much the same. You can see the height-wise now. In terms of bulk, they might be a little bit different, but height-wise they're pretty much the same. So when you display it, and unless one person is very like, you know, he can spot it, he won't be able to figure out. At least that's how I think. But let's get on to the review. Now I'm just going to say, compared to an SHF figure, Figma figures, they are very limited in terms of articulation. While I guess the main thing is that they try to make the figure as, like, how should I say, a Kamen Rider like being a suit. They try to make it as much as like a suit instead of like a, you know, a separate entire character-ish thing. So head-wise, the articulation, it does go down a bit, but does not go up. It's pretty much staring forward all times, and 360 twist on the neck is possible, and then you have a nice you know, movement left and right. On the back side here is that hole. I'm gonna say this is not the best place to put this here, to be honest. I think they should have gone like maybe around here, or I don't know, instead of having a peg and hole system, maybe they could have gone with like a claw system, like how the SHF does. Then again, I'm pretty sure they might get copyright issues, so who knows. So that's pretty much, we're done with the head. Whoops. Yeah, I think I kind of messed up the head joint, but arms, they still have the shoulder forward and backward movement. And when I first bought this, I had some issues where this arm popped out, so I'm just going to use the right arm. Arm articulation, it doesn't go to the side that much because of the armor design, and that horn is going to collide with the main body or the head. But the arm can go 360, kind of. You have to like kind of force it. You can see that horn just got like kind of scratched the white section right over here. And the arms can only go about 90 degrees or a little bit more, so less than a SHF figure. And because of the way how the hand connections are, you can move the hand rest left and right. And the arm itself can move a little bit, but only like, it doesn't go 360, so yeah, it has a little bit of movement going on there. But because I believe some Figma riders, they kind of require you to pull out the lower arm so you can attach the hands, such as Kamen Rider Incisors and Axe, I believe, their claws. So that's that. You can see there's a limited articulation going on here. Ab crunch is pretty okay. I say it's pretty standard, and I do like how they did was, at least for Kamen Rider Spear, because the brown sections, like even in Bandai, they did. Now most SHF figures, they would like color it in a metallic color, but for even in SHF figure standards, it's also brown, because if you've seen the actual suit, the brown sections are not like a metallic armor. They're actually more of a, like, how should I say, like a cow leather-ish color and like feeling to them. So I think they did a pretty good job in terms of that. And this white section, yes, those are supposed to be fur, but I say they did a pretty good job on like making it look like that with the textures. Okay, so here is one of the odd parts. So you can see mine, I guess that's kind of a defective thing right over there, but you can see that you don't really see the joints. You don't see these swivel joints when you look at the front, but when you look at the back there, you can see that round peg going on there, or round joint. That's because they did this. By doing this, they can cover up the joints and make it, when you look at the front, it looks like a suit. But the problem is, because of this, sometimes you might end up like this, and either way, whether it's in or not, it's going to bother the articulation a lot. So the legs cannot go 90 degrees to the front. This is as far as I go, or kind of forcing it. Backwise, it's okay. It can go about that much. And still has a nice side swivel and can almost go 90 degrees, but I'm currently forcing it, but if I let go, it's going to go down like that. And another thing regarding the leg articulation is these joints. They're kind of too bulky. So I actually wanted to buy an Iron Man figure from Figma, but these kind of joints, they kind of turned me down. So, but they do have a nice double jointed bend, but I think they need to like kind of work on to reduce the size of the joints. Or that's just me. And being a Kamen Rider figure, let's look at the belt. Now the belt, unlike SHF, you cannot pull out the visor. I mean the card deck, it's stuck in there, and it's the rider symbol over there. It's just drawn on, so it's not like it's embedded in gold color or pieces. It's just flat, just painted. And while the belt, I think it's a separate piece. Well, it still wobbles, but it's kind of stuck on the back, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah. And the visor, where you're supposed to put the cards in. Now, Figma Riders, they do not put that gimmick in. So you still have the visor, but in Rookie, he folds his legs up, and there should be like a small gap to put the card in. This one does not provide that. But I say they did a good job in terms of color and design. Because I believe the SHF ones, the gold color on here, it's more, how should I say it, a little bit more darker. Okay, so we've seen the basic articulation. Now let's look at the equipment, which is number one, the card holding hand, which works pretty okay, but you know, the fact that it only gives you one card, then again, it doesn't really have the gimmick where you can put the card inside the visor, so I guess it's fine. So yeah, and I wish they could have like at least like increase the range of where you could put the card in, because just having that small gap, not too good for me at least. And then finally we have a spin vent. Now originally I had an issue where the joints for the wrist joints were pretty loose, so I applied some nail polish. Hopefully that fixed it, because of that I had some issues posing the weapon. But once again, if you have the hand on the weapon already, it's going to be really easy. And you can see yeah, that's kind of the downside of these type of wrist hands. Instead of having ball joints and having those kind of things, this will happen time to time. But yeah, once you have the weapon on, it does really look good. I do like this weapon personally, but yeah. And that's pretty much it. So Figma Riders or Figma figures for these ones, they're kind of cheaper than SHFs, but because they're cheaper, I'm not gonna say because they're cheaper, but I guess that's one thing. Like you can get a more cheaper version than an SHF, but less playability. So that's pretty much how I'm gonna say it. So once again, I'm gonna say I wouldn't say like I would like recommend you to buy this right away, but I would recommend you to buy it if you're like kind of desperate to finish your collection or as an alternative. That's pretty much it. But yeah, I mean, if you like it, if you don't mind the playability and the articulation, definitely go for it, because they're definitely cheaper. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the Figma Kamen Rider Spear from Kamen Rider Dragon Knight in the US. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time!